Humbly I surrender all that I am. I want to learn from you. Please draw me close to you. Help me share your love and grace in all I do. Lord, I come before you with contrite heart. Humbly I surrender all that I am. I want to learn from you. Please draw me close to you. Let me share your love and grace in all I do. Oh Lord, transform me. Change my heart completely to be more like you. Oh Lord, renew me. Heal my mind and broken heart today. I want to be and to do what you commanded, and be filled with the Spirit every day. I want to serve you wherever you may lead me. I want to serve you till the very end. Change my shine a light to a darkened world, and always live your truth in every way. May your love for me be seen by everyone, and lead others to trust and love you more. Oh Lord, transform me. Change my heart completely to be more like you. Oh Lord, renew me. Heal my mind and broken heart today. I want to be and to do what you commanded, and be filled with the Spirit every day. I want to serve you wherever you may lead me. I want to serve you till the very end. Oh Lord, transform me. Change my heart completely to be more like you. Oh Lord, renew me. Heal my mind and broken heart today. I want to be and to do what you commanded, and be filled with the Spirit every day. I want to serve you wherever you may lead me. I want to serve you till the very end. Lord, transform me to serve. Lord, transform me to serve.
Hi, good night, everyone. We're welcoming you to yet another episode of Adventist Youth Live. This afternoon, we'll be looking at establishing healthy boundaries. How healthy are your boundaries? I had a wonderful week. How was your week? Now, we're inviting you to like and share the page. Invite as many friends as you can so that they can benefit from this program. Before we begin, I'll turn you over to my colleague Kelvin, who will do the opening prayer for us.
Let's just reverence ourselves wherever we are as we approach the throne of grace. Most kind and gracious and eternal Father in heaven, God, we continue to thank you for sparing our lives. We know that there are many persons who cannot give you thanks and praise now because they are in the grave. And so even for this very blessing, O God, we ascribe praise and thanks and glory to your matchless name. We ask, O God, that even as we are here on set and on another episode of Youth Live, O God, that you may use all three of us, O God, to bring that message out and to help someone, dear God, come to know you who is Lord and Savior eternal. For those who are continuing to look at the program, oh God, we ask that you may be with them and may this program be a blessing to them and may it live them heavenwards. Continue to be with us and guide us in all things is my prayer in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. All right, again, welcome friends. I'm just adding to the welcome that was given to you. And at this time, as you know, it's time for our singing, our praise and worship. And we just want to welcome our early buds. We have Rachel, Graham, Sherman Bihari, Ricardo, Keisha, Joy, Vicky, and the list goes on and on. And tonight we want you to tune in. We want you to tell a friend. And as we discuss tonight, we invite you to talk to us as we engage and as we share. As you would have heard, we have a very important topic. It's all about boundaries. We seem to live in a boundaryless world today. Everybody's doing anything. Anything could happen. But today, is there a line that divides what can and what cannot happen? If you want to find out more, you want to add to the conversation, you got to tune in and you got to tell a friend. Tonight, our first song comes to us from Rachel Graham, and we'll be looking at hymn 435. 435. Sherman Bihari, hymn 359. 359. Fast and brief so that we can cover as many songs as possible. Our third song for the night comes to us from our brother Ricardo, hymn 422. 422. Marching to Zion.
Song with sweet accord and dust.
before we speak of the realms of the blessed, that country so bright and so fair. What's our next song in the lineup there?
Our next song is hymn number 1, Praise to the Lord.
Alrighty, hymn number 1.
Almighty, the King of creation. Oh, my soul, praise Him, for He is thy health and salvation. Oh, ye who hear, now to His temple draw near, join me in glad adoration.
And our next song will be?
Hymn number 579, 'Tis Love That Makes Us Happy.
'Tis love that smooths the way.
This love that makes us happy, this love that smooths away. It helps us mind, it makes us kind to others every day. God is love, we're His little children. God is love, we should be like Him. This love that makes us happy, this love that smooths away. It helps us mind, it makes us kind to others every day.
Tonight we continue rolling on, and our next song.
Hymn number 251, He Lives.
Indeed He lives. We serve a risen Savior.
He
And of
is in
course.
the world today.
That's right, that's right.
I serve a risen Savior, He's in the world today. I know that He is living, whatever men may say. I see His hand of mercy, I hear His voice of shame. And just the time I need Him, He's always there. He lives, Christ Jesus lives today. He walks with me and talks with me along life's narrow way. He lives, salvation to impart. You ask me how I know He lives. He lives within my heart.
Continue moving. Brother Dragon, what's our next song?
We'll take hymn number 300 from Shema Hamlet. 300.
Good night, Shalom, Shema.
On the western end. I want to big up the Hamlets family in a special way tonight. And of course, friends, remember, like, share, invite. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Rock of Ages, cleft for me. Rock of Ages, cleft for me. Let me hide myself in thee. Let the water and the blood from the waves and silence flow. Be of sin the double cure. Cleanse me from its guilt and blood. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Moving along. Sister Stedlin Isaac, and she's requesting hymn number 272.
Give me the Bible.
That's what we want. We don't want money. We don't want land. We don't want cars or houses. They're important, yes. But all we really want tonight is the Bible, the Word of God. Give me the Bible, star of gladness gleaming, to channel wonder, alone and tempest tossed. No storm can hide that peaceful radiance gleaming. Say Jesus came to seek and save the lost. Give me the Bible, holiness and shining, thy light shall guide me in the narrow way. Precepts and promise, thy love combining, till none shall vanish in eternity. Now guess what our next number is.
499.
No man,
449.
You know what song is that?
Can't say from.
That's the Youth Life team song.
Never part again.
Never part again.
Come so close to my favorite song, 448. Oh, when
448.
shall I see Jesus?
Oh boy, well, maybe we might slip in yours tonight.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
So you know, for the team song, we have to at least give it 2 stanzas.
Okay.
So we're gonna
Let's
go for
try,
the
let's try.
first and the last, right? 449.
Okay.
There is a land of pure delight, where bliss eternal reigns. Infinite day excludes the night, and pleasure banish pain. We are traveling to Emmanuel's land, we soon shall hear the trumpet sound, and soon we shall with Jesus reign, and never, never part again. What, never part again? No, never part again. What, never part again? No, never part again. And soon we shall with Jesus reign, and never, never part again. Alrighty. So Sister Asha, we're going to try yours. 448. Oh, when shall I see Jesus?
Okay,
And we'll consider the first stanza.
sure.
Oh, when shall I see Jesus and reign with him above, and shall hear the trumpet sound in the morning, and from the flowing fountain, everlasting love, and shall hear the trumpet sound in the morning.
Cash in.
Our next song.
Seeking the Lost, hymn number 373. And that's from Sally Maras.
Yeah, and we want to hear all the baritones out there in Facebook land. You know, let's hear you, man. Let's rattle the bass tonight. Seeking the lost. Pointing to Jesus, souls that are weak.
Seeking the lost, yes, kindly entreating, what of the master, mountain astray, come unto me, his message repeating, watch of the master, speaking today, going afar, far upon the mountain, raining the wonders back again to the fold of my Redeemer, Jesus the Lamb, the Lamb for sinners slain.
We're nearing the end with 2 more to go. And our final 2 songs, 655 and 505, from Sister Scott and Akisha respectively. And we'll sing 505, the last stanza. 505, the last stanza. I need the prayers of those
I love.
I love. Oh yeah. More prayer, more power.
505.
505.
I need the prayers of those I love, to every online struggling way, that I may true and faithful be, and live for Jesus every day. I want my friends to pray for me, to bear my tempted soul above, and intercede with God for me. I need the prayers of those I love.
Number last. Our last song.
Number 655.
655.
Happy the home when God is there and
Mhm.
love fills every breast.
Alrighty.
Happy the home where God is there and love fills every breast. When one day wish and one day pray, and one day heavenly rest.
We have come to the end of our singing tonight, and of course we have so much more in store for you. We just want to share some some updates in terms of the different events and activities that
What's
are
happening around?
happening in our conference. We're going to start with Brother Dragon. Tell us what's happening.
Well, in the Southern District, the Maranatha Pathfinder Club, we're having our Pathfinders Day on the 16th of this month. So we're inviting persons within the Greater Conference. If you want to stop by, we always encourage that. We like when we have visitors. The clubs, if you want to dress in your uniform as well and be there and be a part of the event, we gladly welcome that. I think we also have the St. George's SDA Pathfinder Club who has their Pathfinder Day. I believe it's on the same day as well. So you have a 2-in-1 pastor.
All
So
right.
if you don't want to come too far down to the south,
Yeah.
you can stop off not too far from the carnage and then take a left come up over Archibald Avenue and you can see the persons in St. George's there. I think they're going to have
Alright.
a bumper Pathfinder Day, so you have 2 to choose from.
You got
Yeah.
options.
Yeah. Not in the south, but in the entire conference, we have something big planned, Pastor.
Tell us.
And I tell you, big is going to be really, really, really big.
Yeah.
Now, we are trying to revamp, or not trying, we are going to revamp drilling and marching within the Pathfinder Club, within the Seventh-day Adventist
Is that
diaspora. And that's not just Grenada, but we're looking at Carriacou and P.T. Martinique as well.
Alright.
Right? And what we're planning is to have Drill Fest 2020. And we are going to be incorporating it in a kind of what we say inter-district competition.
Okay.
So normally on the campsite for Easter Campery, we have drill down, and then we have drill competitions between the different clubs. What we're going to be having now is a drill competition with within the different districts. So Southern District, Eastern 2, Northern, South Central. So it's going to be really, really big.
Nice.
The clubs are there, they're getting ready. The Southern District, we would have came second on Campery.
Yeah.
Eastern 2, I think, would have came in first. So I think persons are coming for these 2 districts.
Alright,
And that's the
alright.
opportunity to bring out nice fellowship and fun, because persons
Yeah.
like to see the drilling and the matching. It's all about discipline, precision, coordination, teamwork. And we say teamwork makes the dream work. So it's going to be really, really big. Pastor, there are some secrets I can't let out yet.
Alright.
But there are going to be some very interesting
Yeah.
clubs and
Yeah.
other persons attending who's going to be part of that. So if you want to see what's going to happen, you have to be there. I
You
can't
gotta
let
be
everything out of the bag yet.
Yeah.
The date, we are going to give that to you at another time. We don't want to let too much out of the bag. We're going to give you piece by piece, just to make you excited about it. But it's going to be big.
Yeah,
It's going to be
yeah.
really, really, really big. So stay tuned for Drill Fest 2020. Yep.
Sister Asha, what's happening in your neck of the woods?
Well, before I begin, I just have to say to Brother Dragon, the same way I'm taking over from him now, we will be taking that title this year. Montrose
Alright.
is going to happen. Now, if you are in Montrose, mighty Montrose, I invite you to come on out tomorrow to celebrate with the children on their Children's Day program.
Alright.
Church begins at 9, so we're inviting you to be there early. I'm telling you it will be packed, so you want to come and occupy your seat very early. And while we are still talking about children, on the 29th of December, the Adventurers Club will be hosting a very grand concert in aid of the adventurers who will be traveling to Barbados next year. We invite you to come on out. It will be at the Youth Center in St. George's. It will be beginning at 4:30 and will last about until 7. So we invite you to come with your friends and everybody to that concert.
Alrighty. Lovely. Now, on the 16th of November, after you would have visited Maranatha,
St. George's.
and after you would have visited St. George's, all road leads to the town of Grenville for what we call Impact Grenville.
Okay.
And we have a special message to the cities as well. And we'll be having a nice march, a nice parade through the city. We'll be distributing literature. We'll be having an open air service, preaching the gospel, and ministering to people on different levels. So we're asking all the uniform clubs in the area to come out and support, join the march, join the parade, and join the army as we champion and lift up the name of our King of Kings and our Lord of Lords, Jesus Christ himself. So we do indulge and we do beg that you support the different events. And of course, as you come and as you share, you are not just playing a supporting role, but you're also, opening yourself for blessing as well. Now, as we get ready for the next segment of our program, very soon you'll be seeing some different faces tonight. But before we get ready for that transition, we're going to have an item of special music that will just soothe us a little bit as we get ready for our deeper discussion tonight. Sit back, relax, and be blessed.
Sound of a mighty rushing wind, and it's closer now than it's ever been, and I can almost hear the trumpet. Sounds the chorus at the midnight cry.
and I can almost hear the Father as he said, son, go get your children. The midnight cry, the bride of Christ would rise when Jesus steps out on a cloud to call his children. The dead in Christ shall rise to meet him in the air, and then those that remain will be quickly changed at the midnight cry. Bride of Christ will rise, and those that remain will be quickly changed at the midnight cry. When Jesus Christ arrives at the midnight cry, the bride of Christ will rise, the bride of Christ will rise.
In holy pages, this truth can be found. A promise to stand on when darkness abounds. Right never loses, and wrong never wins, and grace will always be greater than sin. Grace will always be greater than sin. Calvary has proven it time and again. Whatever you've done, wherever you've been, God's grace will always be greater than sin. Broken and bruised from the choices you've made. Sin has its price, and so often you've paid. Oh, but Jesus is waiting. New hope is in Him, and grace will always be greater than sin. Grace will always be greater than time and again. Whatever you've done, wherever you've been, God's grace will always be greater than sin. Grace, grace, God's grace, grace that is greater than all my sins. Whatever you've done, wherever you've been, God's grace will always be greater than sin.
Welcome back to Youth Live Unplugged, and today we are discussing healthy boundaries. Before we go any further, I just want us to just relax a little bit as we go into a special scripture reading which will just set the tone for this evening.
Okay, good afternoon, guys. I'm inviting you to grab your Bibles, and if you don't, then I will read in your hearing. Our scripture reading this afternoon comes from Luke 5:12 to 16. And I'm reading from the King James Version. And it came to pass, when he was in a certain city, behold, a man full of leprosy, who seeing Jesus, fell on his face, and besought him, saying, Lord, if thou wilt, thou canst make me clean. And he put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will, be thou clean. And immediately the leprosy departed from him. And he charged him to tell no man, but go and show thyself to the priest, and offer for thy cleansing according as Moses commanded, for a testimony unto them. But so much the more went there a fame abroad him, and great multitudes came together to hear and to be healed by him of their infirmities. And he withdrew himself into the wilderness, and he prayed.
So whether it's parents, in-laws, spouses, some people say uncle, auntie, nenen, tukmun, bagay. There's always somebody that we are trying to please. Somebody that we are trying to do something for, someone who needs something of us, whether it's our time or talent or money. It could be even within our marriages, our spouses may demand so much time from us. Within our secular relationships, our friend may demand our finances or emotional support. Everybody seems to want a piece of you.
A lot of demands.
Yeah, and it makes it very difficult for sometimes us to function on a daily basis, trying to get our own priorities sorted out. So this evening we'll be looking at healthy boundaries and why it's necessary for us to establish boundaries no matter which relationship we may find ourselves in, and we will go in depth with that. This evening we'll be breaking this up into pretty much two different segments. We'll be looking at healthy boundaries in general, and then after we'll be looking at a few practical scenarios. Right, but before we get into it, we have some veterans here on set with us. For those of you who don't know them, I would allow them to just briefly introduce themselves. Brief, but not too brief, right? Just enough so that at the end of your introduction, persons can feel like they would have known you since you were born. Yeah?
Okay.
So let's do that. So we start to my right, and we'll come all the way over to my extreme left.
Alright, so good night everybody. I'm Angel Joseph, and at present I attend the Grand Roy SDA Church.
My name is Kelvis Joseph. I'm married to this lovely young lady here, and we also attend the Ghana SDA Church.
Good night again, everyone. I'm Asha McEwen. I attend the Mount Rose SDA Church, and I am a teacher at the Grenada 70 Adventist Comprehensive School.
Good night, everyone. I'm Carlos Gittens, and I guess my father is Pastor Gittens.
Okay.
I think that would make some people think that they know me.
Okay.
And I'm also married to this I'm also married. And I'm married to this lovely young lady.
Number 2.
I'm jealous.
Good night, everyone. I'm Talita Gilbert Gittins. We usually attend Moritz Church, but these days we're traveling all around. So maybe you'll see us sometime.
Okay, and I'm your host for this evening, Kelvin Dragon, hail from the south, attend the Maranatha Seventh-day Adventist Church. Alright, so as I said earlier, and this evening we'll be looking at healthy boundaries. But before we go into the meat of the program, we'll just go into a short quiz segment. So for those of you who are at home, this is your time where you can interact with us. Alright, I'll be just going through 5 questions very briefly, and you would send your answers. We will try to establish as much as possible those persons who are correct. So the first question. Which verse in Luke chapter 5 proves that Jesus took personal time even though many were requesting healing? And if you are paying attention to that very special scripture reading, you would know the answer already. So we're waiting on your responses. Now remember, we're asking you to like and share the page as well, right? We want everyone to be a part of this evening's program.
And while we await the answers, I just want to say good night to our viewing audience. Indra Thomas, Diana Jeremiah, good night girl, good night Jason, Wendy Gill, I want to say good night to Mommy and Time. Please remember to like and share the page.
Now this one seems to be a difficult one. If not, I would have to give you a clue. It's in Luke chapter 5 and it's between verse 1 and verse 20.
Is it an odd or even number?
An even number. So I'm going to give us a
Somebody
few.
says, look, 5:50. No, that's not
5:50,
the
no.
answer. But
Close.
you're very,
Very
close.
close, yes.
Somebody says 5:17.
Okay,
Close
move
to.
away a little.
So how did we move from 15 to
But we said,
17?
we said it was not an odd number.
It's an even number.
Even people. You. Any
We haven't
comments?
gotten this as yet.
No one's biting. Luke 17.
Luke 17.
Um,
Luke
that
chapter
was quite a
5 and
jump.
verse. The
Luke
Indra says
18.
18. We're getting a bit
18.
colder. We're getting a bit colder.
Huh.
Yes.
Lisa
We
Denny.
got one.
Alright, okay, so we're there, right? So Luke
We
chapter
got 2.
5 and verse
We got
16.
3.
So we
Three
have a
people
few
with the
persons
same.
getting it there. That's good. We go to question number 2. Matthew chapter 5 tells us that our yes should be something and our something no. So our yes should be something and our something no. So I need you to fill in that for me. That's very, very easy. Yeah?
Very.
So this one is a fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Jumal, good night. Alberta, Joy, Keisha, Rachel, Shahida, good night.
And Glenna from New York.
Alright, so Sister Indra is on the ball. She says yay and nay. And I think she's going from the King James Version. Let your yay be yay and your nay nay.
Yeah,
Right.
that's it.
So, question number 3. According to Matthew chapter 21, which of the following is better? According to Matthew chapter 21, which of the following is better? A. Say you will not do something and then change your mind and do it. Or B. Say you will do something but in the end you don't do it. Which one is better? I'll give it again. Say you will do something and then change your mind, then do it. Or B, say you will do something, but in the end, you better. I think.
We're answering the question?
Yeah, I'll allow the panelists to answer that one. Which one do you think is better? Tally.
There's no C option. You say it and you do it. I will go for A, of course. That's better, because at least you end up doing it. You stop, you thought about it, and then you say, you know what, maybe I was wrong, let me go ahead and do it.
So when you change your mind, that didn't affect the person. We tell that
It
you
would
wanna
still
do.
affect them for the fact I said no in the first place. Maybe not even with a reason.
Okay, but the fact that you did it, because you said yes and you changed your mind, but you did it anyway. So that's better than saying you're going to do it and then not do it at all. Yeah.
And we have a lot of persons agreeing.
Okay. So that's
Yeah.
So
Some
someone said
people
none.
said none.
None.
Well, we
Yeah,
don't have
that's
that
asking for
option.
the option C. When they say yes, then you do it.
It
Alright.
depends on the situation.
I was going to ask
No,
a
you're
question,
looking
but
for the
I did initially violate the healthy boundary with Bathsheba. In which book, chapter, and
So we're looking for a
Can we
book,
We're
take
looking
the
for a
description
book,
or
a chapter,
a chapter
and a verse,
a
specific verse?
Mhm.
Maybe sure, but it's difficult questions.
yes,
Some of them.
you got it difficult.
Yeah, those questions after they having you thinking, you have to bust your brain. At the end of it, some persons may lose a few brain cells, but
No, we're forcing them to grow it.
okay, well that's true likewise.
The life is not real time.
You want to repeat the question?
Okay, we'll do it one more time. In which book, chapter, and verse did David initially violate the healthy boundary with Bathsheba? I'm going to give you a clue. It's in the book of Samuel. I'm not telling you which one.
Somebody said,
Samuel
Second Samuel
2
11,
Samuel 11.
verse what? What's the verse?
Did the verses,
Second
right?
Samuel.
2
So,
Samuel
yes.
11. But we need the
Uh-huh.
verse.
Verse included.
Novanalia, you're close.
Okay, everyone's following suit. Verses.
You need the chapter and the verse.
Somebody
Yeah,
said
the
Second
chapter.
Samuel.
Yeah, the
11.
chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Akisha, yes, but we need the verse Akisha.
If they add the two ones,
You're
they're
searching,
gonna
you're
get it.
searching. You're scoring.
Hope we're not using Google.
I think that's what's happening.
They'll find it.
Yes.
Alright, Ketisha is there. Ketisha George.
Right.
2 Samuel chapter 11 and verse 2.
Two.
That's good. So we go to our final question.
Ooh.
Question number 5. Complete the following verse from Ephesians, and this is a fill in the blank. But something and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be blank, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving thanks. And I read it again. And this one is coming from Ephesians. But blank and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be one's name among you as becometh saints, neither filthiness, nor blank, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks.
And while we wait, just want to say goodnight to those who joined us a little later on. Victor and Sharada, Joy, Darissa, Miss Dragon, Naz, Mrs. Dragon.
Oh, someone said that one word. Is that one of the answers?
Yes, I'm seeing Keisha Dragon here, Mrs. Keisha Dragon. She's saying fornication. So we have 2 blanks. I'm only seeing 1, so we need another answer there. But you're on the ball. You're on the ball. It says, but
Fornication and filthiness.
yeah,
Yes.
filthiness, nor blank, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. So we have Naz Williams, and Naz Williams seem to have it, fornication and filthiness. So, well,
The
not
one
filthiness,
after-
no.
the one after
That's after
filthiness.
filthiness. We need the one
After
after
filthiness.
filthiness. So after filthiness, we have a blank. You're right, so Naz Williams has it, foolish talking. So I'll read it with everything in there. It says, but fornication and all uncleanness or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becometh saints, neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks. And this has brought us to the end of our quiz segment. As we dive right into
Our discussions for tonight.
and thank you, Tally. Right. So as we would have established earlier on, boundaries are healthy boundaries are needed, right? It's there for a reason to help us have our own safe space and not to be overwhelmed and burdened. right? But a question I want to throw: what is your understanding individually of healthy boundaries? When you hear healthy boundaries, what comes to your mind? And we'll start with the Josephs on my right.
Well, for me, in a nutshell, it is guidelines, right, or rules, or your own principles, right, that one would establish, so that it gives another person, the ability, right, to be able to relate when they're around you, in terms of what they should expect, all right, and so that they don't step over the line, and at the same time, how or you as a person would react, in cases where your boundaries are broken or they would have stepped over the line.
Okay. Joseph, you want to add or subtract from that?
Alright, so I'm thinking that boundaries are what sets you apart from others. So what you would accept, the acceptable behavior, how people would react around you, what basically the behavior that you accept from others, how they would treat you, and what you expect from them. Yeah.
So that would bring us over to the kittens. Why do you think then, as we already establishing that the boundaries are pretty much how you would treat somebody and how you expect to be treated, why do you think it is necessary, more so for Christians?
Well, in the Christians, because we ascribe to certain rules that tell us how we should behave and how we should behave, how others should behave to us, and even if they don't behave in a proper way, what we should do. So, one thing I realize, and not all the time we are very vocal about our boundaries. And it may not just be the boundaries of interaction. It could be the boundaries of what we eat, the boundaries of how we take care of our family, or interact with our family, and things like that. So I don't think boundaries just include how we tell people this is how I want to be treated, or how you expect to treat them. But it also includes in what you do in everyday life.
Sure.
And for Christians, we're supposed to be upholding a certain standard and also glorify the standard and give an example to others.
Carlos, I would ask you the question. When you begin a relationship with anybody, it can be a student, right, because you do lecture, or a friend, do you establish your boundaries immediately and say, hey, this is what I expect? Because we talk about setting boundaries, but I mean, you're starting a relationship, you just go right and say, okay, this is what I want, this is what I expect, this is how I expect you to treat me. Does it work like that? Do you think it works like that?
Interestingly, maybe it does. I don't necessarily say it because most of communication is non-verbal, but before I even meet somebody, they already know my boundaries. A boundary is a bubble that a person puts around themselves. That's how I would put it. It's basically a bubble that you put around yourself, and it actually screams to everybody, this is how I expect you to treat me, and these are the things that I respect, mainly about myself, and as a result I expect you to respect those things as well. And what's amazing is that even if you don't consider yourself, as in you don't even respect yourself that well, if you tell people in a non-verbal manner that those are your boundaries, they would respect it to the end. You understand?
They're supposed to respect it to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very important.
But let me just finish. Yeah. So you say when I meet a student or meet somebody for the first time, I establish boundaries, and how do I actually scream to that person, hey, you know what, these are my boundaries, this is what I'm expecting. It's actually how I carry myself with everybody else. Before I meet somebody, most times before I meet somebody directly, they have been observing me on some level or the other. Then eventually I say, hi. Now, how I have treated people who are next to me, my friends, my spouse, and everybody else, tells that person, these are my boundaries, therefore I can't cross them.
And normally we say your reputation precedes you, but now we're seeing your boundaries. Yeah. Your boundaries precedes you.
Technically it's the same thing, actually. But when you're talking about the class, though, depending on the level that you're teaching at, in his case, he's a lecturer, so he's doing at the tertiary level. Yeah. So to a certain extent, they understand what the general boundaries are for interactions between the teacher and the students. But when you're talking about the younger students, and sometimes, unfortunately, the secondary school students,
Yeah,
you have to outline them.
Mhm.
And we say that these are the boundaries you also should have.
Mhm.
Because sometimes they don't even have an inkling
Mhm.
of how they should behave, what they should do, what is acceptable. You understand? So sometimes you don't even realize that something maybe from home, a mannerism that they took up from home.
Yeah.
So that no, in normal society this is not accepted.
Right.
Where you are at home, I understand maybe it is, but you need to rethink this, and then you tell them why if you have the time. But generally, as soon as they come in and they're into the environment where they be seeing you for 8 hours a day, you have to say, hey, these are what you should expect of me,
Yeah.
and these are what I expect of you.
So what I'm
And the
seeing
thing
here,
is,
go ahead.
your boundaries are sort of determined by your values and your morals, you know, your whole upbringing, your beliefs. So you would stand for things based on what you value.
Okay.
So I demand respect because I value that, right? Or I don't use obscene words because I see it as being disrespectful, and that's how I was brought up. So a lot of things that we accept as people is because of or we accept from people is probably because of what we value.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's very important to instill good values too.
So the two questions that we have asked already, is it safe to say now that because persons come from different background and they have different morals or different ways that they do things, by you establishing your values, because remember your boundaries, because everybody have different ways that they would respond, it allows us in a sense to coexist with each other, not in a sense breaching each person's personal space or what would make them feel comfortable. That's what I'm gathering so far from what we have said.
Well,
To a
definitely.
certain
Yeah,
extent.
go ahead.
Because you know where I stand, I know where you stand, and
Yeah.
vice versa. In some ways, going forward, we can coexist better, and that would prevent confrontation, you know, even embarrassment, because we would have said before, you know, I know your principles and those things, so I also know how you're going to respond, right? In terms of react, if I were to be forward, then, you know, people say
Yeah,
stop
yeah.
being forward. And in some ways, some people, you know, would take that as embarrassment. So in the first place, if I don't want to be embarrassed, then I would not, you know, go outside of what you expected of me. So it helps us to, you know, have a good cordial relationship, you know, so that we don't get in
Overstep.
conflict unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Tell you what you were going over there as before.
I was going to say it's a learning process too.
Yes.
Because you can't understand a person directly, and they can't always tell you all of their own boundaries and what they expect, because we all have different expectations. And that unfortunately does cause conflict. It's how you deal with that conflict. Now there's
Yeah.
another expectation that we should have to work through it when we reach that line, which a lot of people don't do.
So setting boundaries in a sense is developing relationships with individuals,
Definitely.
Yes.
you know, how to function. I want to bring you in, Asha, and then I'll bring you back in again. It's a very tricky question. Do you think it's okay for an individual to have a close relationship with someone of the opposite sex? Do you think that's a problem?
I do not believe it is a problem, because in our make and design, this is what God expects of us. He made us to be in.
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, because
Yes. Well-
in my realm, when I think close, I think very personal, semi-intimate, not necessarily.
Oh.
Yeah.
So best friend intimate, that you tell them everything?
I
I wouldn't call
close
best
to the
friend intimate,
boyfriend.
because we're talking about the person of the opposite sex, and we're talking about
So you can't
intimate
have a best friend as the opposite sex?
and intimate.
But I
Or
was
sexually
thinking
intimate,
along
which
the
one?
lines
Yeah,
of
I'm
best
thinking
friend.
more like
Oh.
yeah.
Okay
that way.
then.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
no,
not best
no,
friend,
yeah.
because
Oh.
I'm not thinking best friend. We're thinking of being close to someone of the opposite sex. And normally when we say that in our local palang, we mean like somebody who is physically and emotionally attracted to you, and you physically and emotionally attracted to them. Do you think it's okay to like just cultivate a relationship like that, and you know that you're not necessarily going further with it, but we're talking about setting boundaries? So in light of that, you have these boundaries that you're setting, yet now you're trying to get someone over there while you're setting boundaries. It kind of sends a mixed message. I'd have asked you that just to feed you, to feed you. And to see where you are coming from. But since we didn't get over, I would have to ask the married couples here now.
Oh wow.
As a married person, do you think now that it's okay? Because I was asking her from the capacity of a single person to see whether she would have said yes or no, and then bring it over to you now to see if it's okay. Do you think it's okay to cultivate a close relationship with someone of the opposite sex? Because we're talking
Who's
about
not your
healthy boundaries,
spouse.
not your spouse, yeah. And what do you think is the dangers or the pros of doing that, if there are any pros?
You're going first?
Well, there is so much that could be said with this, right? Play soccer, or probably go play drafts on this thing, right? Now you have a spouse, so you have to reduce on certain things. So I was told and I believe that your spouse supposed to be your best friend. You know, just as how God's supposed to be the Christian's best friend on this thing. So you can't tell someone of the opposite sex, you know, your deepest secret or even your intimate moments, you know, with your spouse on this thing, as if you're allowing the person to enter your bedroom on this thing. All right?
True.
I sit, you know, at times, probably another person might sit on, like a lady sit on another gentleman's lap on this thing, you know, it's like on this thing. I don't consider that, you know, being just a best friend, you know. I think that is stepping over the line.
Yeah.
That's
Right,
stepping over
so-
the boundary.
Yeah, crossing the boundary. So
Taking a leap by a mile.
you could have good friends, both, you know, male and female, you know, but there is something that is called perception, right? And then you also have people looking on, although perception at times could be wrong,
Yeah.
but you do not want to give people mixed pictures.
Pictures, yeah.
All right, and
Signals.
from that, what's that going around? In some ways, you'd probably encourage or fuel what do you say, things like, you know, gossip on this thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have to be discreet, and it should come to the point where if you have a friend of the opposite sex, your spouse should be very comfortable around the person. All right, you should not be engaged in you should not be engaged in a conversation, probably on the phone or what,
it's
and
private.
outside of your spouse knowledge on this thing. And then when the person is around you and your spouse, you feel something, right?
Like
That
the
should
height
not
to
be-
have the conversation.
Exactly. So it's supposed to be open.
Yeah.
All right, and with that, the person you are married, so certain things they will not say. All right, certain actions they will not engage in, because there is, you know, some form of a certain level of trust and a certain level of respect, right? Because you see that you are married,
Yeah.
and they should not cross this line. That is my take.
Sally, you're over there as well. Do you have any sentiments for that?
Directly, well, for the marriage one, I agree. But sometimes people do mix up your signals, because you could be a very friendly person and you're thinking that, oh, she's sexually attracted to me. And you're like, that hasn't even entered my mind. How did you reach there? So, yes, I would say that we have to make sure that we are careful, especially as married women, because we get emotionally attached to certain people sometimes more quickly than even we realize, especially if maybe we do have problems in our marriage. So we have to be careful of who we talk to, what we say, maybe even when, because if you're really angry or something like that and you just want to vent, not everybody you should vent to, or even the certain people that you think you should. No, you hold back.
And this is why it's very important for us to understand setting boundaries, because we looked at it from a single capacity, we looked at it from a student teacher
not
capacity.
exactly.
And then we have
Because I
touched on
didn't
the single.
understand what
And
I
then we
was
need to go back to the
Yeah.
single.
Alright, so maybe let's go back to the singles and
And then we have one question
let's just
to
get
answer.
your view on it, because I wanted to go forward with something, but let's get your view on that.
Well, from a single person's perspective, you need to identify your boundaries really early, because a lot of the times people tend to get mixed signals. So even when you are trying to be friendly, some people see it as, okay, this person wants more than being friends. It's not just for married people alone. Even with us singles.
And the thing that what I realized growing up, as young men, it's very easy for us to get mixed signals, especially especially if you're attracted to a young lady, because for men it takes a lot of courage to go or present yourself to a young lady. And then if she receives you, we call that reciprocation. If she receives you, you think, okay, well, I have an in. And then if she continues talking to you, then you believe, okay, well, I really have a shot. And so any movement she makes, it might just to her, it might just be casual and friendly. That young man may be reading a lot more into that. And that's why it's very important for a single person, especially somebody of the opposite sex, to set your boundaries outright, immediately, but more so not allowing that person to invade your personal space too much, because you may be giving them or leading them on, so to speak.
Darissa Rodney had a question. She asked, in some situations we encounter individuals who are offended by our boundaries, especially if outlined when the relationship has already been in progress. Why do you think this is so?
Okay, well, I'll throw that out to my veteran panelists. Jules Carlos, you wanna speak to that?
Well, it's actually quite interesting, because it seems as if the question considers a person, like you were saying, showing up to present themselves to a relationship and then stating what the boundaries are. You understand what I'm saying? That's what the question seems like it's saying. So it seems like it's saying, oh, you now meet me, and I say, okay, never come 20 inches in front of me, and make sure that you always look at me from the, whatever. And I think that that in all fairness, the reason why people get offended, well, let me go a little bit further. There's something really interesting about us in the Caribbean. I went to a fast food joint in Grenada, and the lady was serving, and they were missing a few items in the fast food joint, and the lady said, a lady walked in there, she's not from Grenada or the Caribbean, and she was like, y'all did not have so, you should shut down this whole place, that is wrong. And she was like, you're not even smiling, nobody is smiling here.
Can you even speak English? She was rebel.
That was the difference.
No, a different yeah.
And she was really angry, and I turned to the lady at the counter and I said, don't worry about it, because in the Caribbean there's a difference between being cordial and being friendly, to the extent that I could even be offensive to a person, even like slightly offensive. I could say, hey, how you doing? Why you had so bad, or something like that, and it don't mean the same thing.
Yeah.
Even though I'm being a little bit rude to some extent, as opposed to if I was being like friendly. I could actually meet you. I could come and say, good morning, how are you this morning? And you would actually feel like, is something okay with you?
Yeah.
You sure?
The approach is something wrong with that. Yeah.
And the funny, I could even put a smile, like the smile that they expect, like in a different part of the world, the manufactured smile that they expect. I could even put that smile on my face, and you still, you understand, you still,
something is wrong.
So then the reason why I address it that way is because I see within the question that maybe if you operate in that manner, what happens is that people think, oh, you're being very formal, you don't necessarily want to be my friend. As opposed to it being a natural part of things that happen. Because not every single time somebody, you like for example, my boundary is don't call me after Sabbath. I think everybody has that boundary about work stuff. You understand? So somebody calls me and they don't know. I already told you that you should not call, and the person didn't even know, and then I start arguing with them. Never call me again. You hear me? And I'm like, you understand? Now I could be establishing a boundary, but I would be doing it not in a loving kind of friendly kind of manner.
Delana is responding to Larissa, and she says sometimes the boundaries that we communicate by our actions and the boundaries we set by our words are not in harmony. This can be frustrating for the other person. Perhaps that is why they could be offended, and that's so true. You can elaborate on that or share.
Can we replace boundaries with standards? Like, would that be
relationship?
appropriate?
We can, based on what we were saying before in terms of our values and our morals, we can use it interchangeably. Yeah.
And
but go ahead.
Well, the first question they were saying that you set your boundaries after
the relationship
has started.
And that's when you're
so
feeling.
sometimes in the beginning we let things slide.
Yes.
So somebody offends us or they did something that we don't like, but we don't say it. So then the person believes that it's okay, and we wait until the person gets comfortable with us, and then we say, you know, I don't like this, or I'm really uncomfortable with that, but we never said it before. So in that way, it can become offensive to the person, because where that come from
Yes.
all the
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
you were okay with it, and now you're just dropping that on me. So sometimes we need to set our boundaries or standards from the start, right?
Hence the text, let your nay be
Nay
nay,
and
and let
your
your yea be
yea,
yea. So it's
yeah.
definite, and persons know exactly where you stand. And as we were looking at the singles, which is why it's important to establish boundaries, because well, not most persons, but entering an intimate relationship requires a lot. There's a lot of personal space and a lot of emotional things that persons have to open up to that individual if they are looking for a relationship beyond friendship. And so if you allow that to happen with any relationship of the opposite sex, it creates a mixed signal, it creates confusion for the person. And then after they are approaching you based on what you're sending off, and then you tell them, no, I'm not interested in that, then the rejection would cause some level of offense. And that's very important, why it's clear based on what we are saying that we
So
should
before
set our...
Talita goes, right, so I'm thinking there must be conversation, right?
Yeah.
And we have to be respectful.
Yes.
That probably
That's what I
people interpret us the wrong way. So we're supposed to tell them, well, this is not what I've intended, all right? So we're supposed to be very respectful. But it was also been mentioned it's a learning process and growth takes place. So probably at the onset, at the start, you didn't have a certain principle about you, right? Or a certain boundary. But because you're now a changed person, as someone, let's suppose, being proselytized into Christianity, right? So I once used to probably drink and hang out and use certain, smutty language. But I no longer do those things. So definitely my boundary would have shifted.
Right.
So now I have to re-educate my friends
Yes.
that, guys, yes, I used to do that, but I'm no longer that person. So that's what I'm saying. We're supposed to be respectful and be open and be genuine at the same time.
And that is why boundaries are very important for all aspects of life. We talked a little bit about relationship, and well, in essence, they are relationships, whether it's friend, social, whatever. But it's necessary for us to establish these boundaries because it helps persons to correlate or to coexist with us on a much, if we want to say, healthier level. If we didn't set these things up early, sometimes we may be offended and we're trying to suppress it to make that person comfortable. But that should not be the case. We should definitely establish our boundaries. Some persons will be offended initially, but when they get to know you and what you stand for, then it becomes a lot easier to function with them.
Remember, it also includes that it's a learning process, because not all the time at that point in time when you're talking with them, you remember, oh, this is another boundary I should have. Because we're not robots, you don't remember all these things. But as I say, years must be years and your nays must be nays. And us women love to try not to offend the men. So we try to be, placate them and things like that. And then when we're comfortable, we just blow it at them and they do get confused with us, which is true. We sometimes we ourselves don't know what we want. We can't go there. But
So as Delena Sterling is saying, set your boundaries from the start. Means that before you start to date, right, you set your boundaries. You must have boundaries clearly outlined in your mind. So before you start your relationship or start dating or so on, you must know what you want. You must know what you expect.
Expectations.
Right? Before you even could tell somebody, this is what I expect. So you need to start, know what you want first.
Self-evaluating.
Even if later on you will learn of other things that you require, but you should at least have some boundaries outlined in your mind.
Because if you don't, it would create some level of mistrust in that individual, because the Bible is right, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, right? So I must know what to expect when, we have conversation or we probably come together, because if not, then anything could happen, and this is, frightening, right? Because the opposite of not having boundary, you have no boundary, and if there's no boundary, anything goes. right? And it creates
And they'll
probably
treat
more harm
you-
than good. So
And they'll treat
So
you
that
accordingly.
leads
Definitely.
up that
They'll
leads
treat
up
you
to the, that
accordingly.
leads up to the next question that I have. Then what are some of the major pitfalls, especially for a Christian? Because we're speaking to a Christian audience. We also have persons who are not Seventh-day Adventists who view the program. But specifically for a Christian, what are some of the pitfalls if we do not establish our boundaries when we get into relationships, whatever relationships, whether it's at church, with our family members, or in-laws? Well, why is it important? Well, not why is it important. What are some of the pitfalls if we do not establish that? You mentioned one, but I want us to go a little bit deeper into some of the cons of not establishing those boundaries.
I would say you yourself will get caught up in someone else's boundary, and you may not stay within a Christian boundary.
Elaborate
I
a
would
little bit
say-
on that. Because,
Oh,
yeah.
in a way that okay, so you said you're a Christian and you do certain things, and the person that maybe you're interested in is not a Christian, and you would have liked to bring them to be a Christian because you think they have qualities that are very good,
Okay.
and you're hoping that maybe they would change. But then it flips on you with the more time you spend with them because you're losing what your expectations or what your boundaries were that you had said that was important to you. But because you want to keep this person, you said, okay, I'll adopt your boundaries.
Okay.
And you start losing yours. That's one of the major pitfalls, especially when it comes to marrying.
Yeah, it's very important that you mention that, and you even strike the nail on the head as you speak to marriage, because we see that as an issue now where young ladies may be interested in young men who are not of the same
And vice versa.
right, and yeah, but vice versa. And we see them going out trying to change the individual, and in essence they become influenced and they become changed. And it's very important, as you mentioned, and we see that happening within our society. And so we want to advise and counsel against that. You set your boundaries, ensure that you know exactly what your boundaries are. So when you encounter these situations, you may be interested in somebody, but you know, hey, this is what I stand for, this is what God expects of me, and you do not move to the left or move to the right. Let your nay be nay, and let your yea be yea.
What you
The
see, that's what
addition-
you get, right?
Yeah.
And the addition too is that those of us that are in the church, we have to put ourselves forward to those that are in the church. Because we love to say that there's nobody in the church. And it's because we are relinquishing our own boundaries that we should stay with. Because maybe we don't find them attractive enough because they're boring. You know, we love to say that, oh, they're too boring. We don't want that type of guy or that type of girl because they're too nice. That's the one thing I can never understand. Oh, he's too nice. I want nothing to do with him. I'm like, what? He's actually paying attention to you, unlike the other person that you are falling for. You understand?
Alright, so we'll just take a break here for a minute. When we come back, we'll be looking at some scenarios, real life to the most extent, and then we'll be discussing those to see how we can relate to those and what advice we'll have for persons in those situations. So we'll take an item of special music, and when we get back, we'll be dealing with some scenarios and how best we can advise persons in those.
Oh, when shall I see Jesus and reign with him above? And shall hear the trumpet sounding that morning? And from the flowing fountain drink everlasting love? And shall hear the trumpet sounding that morning? Gird on the gospel armor of hope and faith and love, and you'll hear the trumpet sounding that morning. And when the combat's ended, he'll carry you above, then you'll hear the trumpet sounding that morning. Oh, shout glory, for I shall mount above the skies when I hear the trumpet sounding that morning. Oh, shout glory, for I shall mount above the skies when I hear the trumpet sounding that morning. He is coming, coming, coming soon, I know, coming back to this earth again. And the weary pilgrims will to glory go when the Savior comes to reign. Hallelujah, amen, hallelujah again. Soon and faithful we all shall be there. Oh, be watchful, be hopeful, be joyful till then, and the crown of bright glory will wear. He is coming, coming, coming soon, I know, coming back to this earth again. And the weary pilgrims will to glory go when the Savior comes to reign. When the Savior comes to reign.
Hey,
Sorry.
welcome back.
If I can ask.
Welcome back to
I'm with you. Now, what could you give up for somebody who's not an Adventist?
Okay.
You understand? What could you give up for them?
John is saying also our boundaries should draw others closer to God and not left up.
Left to ourselves.
And not left up to ourselves, and to make others feel that they are not good enough. And that's very important, because one of the key texts we like to use is let our light so shine before men that they may see our good works. So even if we're talking relationships and setting boundaries, at the end of the day, when we put ourselves outside there, we are representing God.
Christ, yeah.
And so it's very important that whatever we set as our boundaries, our standards, it should definitely reflect that. But again, as we speak to boundaries are there for both sides. And if we look at it for Christians and non-Christian, we're not just speaking intimate here or personal. We're speaking about friendship. You're in a friendship relationship with somebody, or just casual relationship. That persons have things that they may not like. They may not like persons shouting to them. They may not like persons using their personal stuff or playing with their phones. And so if these are the things that they have, then we have to respect that as well, because we may be more liberal with certain things. So it goes both ways.
And in that light, boundaries are, it's linked to self-control.
Yeah.
I have to be able to control myself. The juice is not mine, it's yours. You would want me to ask you first.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, right? Even though I wouldn't mind you just taking mine, but you would mind that. So let me ask you first. So we have to control ourselves, right?
Yes.
So to respect other person.
It's good that you mentioned control,
Yeah.
because I do have a question for you, Asha. The question goes like this, and to our online viewers, if you want to respond to it, you can feel free to do so, and we read out your responses. The scenario goes like this. Sasha and her friends usually share each other's things. However, Sasha has decided that there are certain things that she no longer wants to share with her friends. They think now that she's being selfish and inconsiderate. Do you agree with her friends? And what would you advise in that situation?
In that case, I don't think that Sasha is being inconsiderate, you know. I believe that her friends are being a little inconsiderate. Now, along life, you tend to change, you grow. Different experiences would result in the way that you feel about certain things. In a case like that, though, I wonder if Sasha would have shared how she feels with her friends
Exactly.
and exactly why she feels that way about that. Like you said, in every relationship, it needs to be met at the half. So once she outlines what her new boundaries are, then at least her friend should be able to try and understand where she's coming from and meet her on the half.
What I've observed in my fears, and most of my friends are females, females tend to share a lot of personal effects.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they tend to share these like combs and brushes, and they're so liberal with that. Men might be a little bit more, you know, stingy with that.
You have your
So
own.
looking at it in that light, all of us they were sharing these things, and all of a sudden Sasha just decided, you know what, well, I don't want to do this anymore, right? How do you think? Because that was her established boundaries. You can share these things, and now she's saying, I don't want to do this anymore. That's what I'm seeing happening here.
She needs to be careful as to how she says it, because she can
The same
non-verbally be expressing to them that, hey, I don't trust you, or maybe I noticed something with your health and I don't want this to, so she needs to be careful.
But what if Sasha is the one who always has to share and she can't get
That's
anything
the other
on the
question.
other side?
That's the other question.
So she's
Yes.
tired now.
It could be that too.
Oh, what if, then again, she shares once and then she just finds, well, you're taking it as a habit now.
Abusing her.
Yeah.
So then what would you advise now, Sasha, in that way? Because we're talking about how she says it, for what reason. How would you advise Sasha now to set these new boundaries that weren't there before?
She has to take her time with it. We establishing boundaries, and we do not, like, Rome was not built in a day. So you can't just lay everything on the table and expect that they will grab onto it immediately. Take your time with it and ease it in. But just the same, you cannot wait until a year passes, and then
Build up.
eventually they start, you know, doing more than they were.
The thing is, those are her friends, so she's supposed to have a better open line of communication than
Yeah.
somebody else.
Stranger,
But I guess because we usually take certain things for granted, maybe we can end up making a mistake too.
So what I'm seeing here, communication is key.
Right, definitely,
Yeah.
because you see, and they might say, "Well, you're changing," and also, but I mean that is inevitable. People would change, and we have to come to this point where we understand that, all right?
That's enough.
So we have to observe as well, right? We have to have a high sense of, you know, alertness and this thing, all right?
Maturity.
Yeah. So we see that we're supposed to ask, well, what has, you know, or why did you come up to the conclusion or arrive at that situation? And if there is respect, understanding, cooperation, I think there would not be any kind of, well, the dissolving of the relationship or the friendship, but probably come out stronger, all right? Because today might be you, tomorrow it might be the next person. And what we don't like for ourselves, we should not like it for others, all right? So if they say, well, or she decide, well, I no longer want to do that in a nice, respectful way. Just respect that, you know, and don't think negative, you know. It's your friend all along. One little scenario now becomes the worst person.
You know, hopefully it's a little
Go ahead.
scenario.
John Max just made me blush a little. He
Okay.
said, buy a comb for her friends
Right.
so that they know what time it is.
Oh.
And then before that, Darissa said, this scenario is what I was talking about.
Mhm.
When I mentioned that boundaries being outlined after the relationship has progressed, her
Okay.
friends were clearly offended.
Okay.
They need to respect her boundaries and understand that people grow over time.
Yeah.
And she-
Cassandra is saying her true friends would sense a change before they are verbalized. Now in John Mark's comment, I see definitely those friends will. They will get the message and they will.
Minute more straightforward.
what we do have to establish, especially in Christian relationships or any relationship where, well, we are Christians and we have with other persons, we should do it in a way so that at the end of it, Christ is
Yeah.
seen. And we
Yes.
should not lose the opportunity to win a soul. And that's where communication is very important. You can express to the person why you no longer want to share that comb. Okay, well, this is what I've observed for health reasons, for this, for that. And I think any reasonable person would see the light in that, and then they might have been doing that with their other friends, and they may change their approach as well. So then you're protecting yourself, and you're protecting them, and you're helping, and each one reach one. Yeah, and that's a very important way to go. So the boundaries are there. for a
Sometimes
reason.
there just might be some hard feelings there.
Well, yeah, I
Because
mean,
Christ I come to set a sword, you know. So yes, some people might be offended, you know, and probably for the wrong reason.
Yes.
But that should not cause us probably to react in the same way. You know, we keep our cool and we ask God for tact, you know, and the spirit of discernment and those things, because we interact with people, right? Not objects. So,
Yes.
you know, as they say, tongue and what teeth would bite, something like that. So there would be hard feelings, but friendship, you know, if it's strong and if it's genuine, it's supposed to solve that problem.
Roy George is saying in every relationship, the participants must have the right to change
yeah.
as they grow. But what is needed is
Dialogue.
dialogue.
Yes.
So same
Excellent point.
communication, yes.
And remember, we were asking a question earlier about what is better, whether you say you're going to do something and then change your mind and maybe do it. It gives a person the flexibility in a relationship to change their mind and to express themselves how they feel, right? And each one should have the right to do that, especially if it's going to be something that directly affects them, right? And I think that's important. But as you were there and you were talking, I think I would continue to keep that side talking. I have a scenario for you. Jake and Diana have just started a personal relationship. In the discussion, Diana tells Jake that they should share password for their devices and emails. Jake disagrees with this. Diana tells him that he doesn't trust her. What is your view on that situation? So they're just getting into the relationship, personal, you know, as we say in local Palang, boyfriend and girlfriend,
Yeah.
and she wants him now to give her the password for his WhatsApp, because it's not just phone again, they lock the WhatsApp and everything too. And she wants the password for his emails and so on. And he's saying no. And she's seeing a problem with that. What's your take on that?
Well, I think she's out of order.
Very so. Very much so.
The thing is, they're just starting the relationship,
Just.
right? It's not a matter that he doesn't trust her, but you know, these things come with time. So what, they just started the relationship, we don't know where it's gonna go. What if our boundaries are clashing, or you know, these sort of things. So asking for it is sort of overstepping his boundary. The fact that you have to ask and sort of have an argument over it, it means that you're overstepping the other person's boundary. They're not comfortable with giving you yet. It doesn't mean that they're hiding something from you, but they're probably waiting for more growth. Let me see where this relationship will take me, right? So I think that person is over she's overstepping
Too
her
much too
boundaries.
soon?
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much.
Do you have anything to share on that?
Yeah, because well, they say a correct bud never builds a good nest, alright? And well, I don't know for what reason she would want the
passwords.
and probably not only the password but other things as well. You know, probably to keep tabs on those things. But if you just getting to know somebody and you go to that extent, you know, that indicates, you know, that probably you would have had a bad relationship before this thing, and you probably assume or trying to label the present person to past experiences, and I think that might be, well, not might be, that is unreasonable, right? You have to give everybody, take everybody and his own merit. So trust yourself first, right? And forget about bad experience. Yes, you use it as a means of gauging the future and those things. But we have to be very careful. Alright, because again the gentleman would read you, well, you don't know me from Adam, and you want so much, from me already. Like you want my pound of flesh because if you give someone your ID, basically, yeah. So if you give someone, like you give yourself away, and that would be cheap, right? Because to come so close, that will take some time, to get to know the person and those things. So I think she has to really check herself and recognize that she might be doing more good, more bad than good,
Honestly, on some level, I could see that as being the end of the relationship.
Yes.
Thank you.
Here's a nice little IT tip.
IT tip.
Yeah, don't give people your passwords.
Yeah.
No, I mean, what people don't know about that statement is that when you give somebody a password, the way that you created a password, the way that you think, in order for you to create a password, means that I could now understand how you think to figure out
That's
other
deep.
passwords.
That's deep.
Yes.
So all your other passwords.
Yep.
Avron Andrew is saying, good night. I'm watching from Trinidad. Happy Sabbath to everyone. Good topic tonight. Establishing healthy boundaries. Thank you, Avron. It's not too late to like and share the page. So we still have one more scenario, so somebody else may be able to benefit from that.
While we were looking at our online viewers, Darissa said that Diana need to relax. Diana sound like she is insecure. Roy said that brother need to find another girl.
End of relationship right there.
So that seems to be some relationship ending quest. Carlos was there.
You know what I really wanted to say? What's the difference between sharing something very intimate and the actual act of sex? You know why I asked that question is because something that we probably didn't, and maybe we will eventually explore it, but something that we didn't explore is that over the years, there are boundaries between husband and wife. I'm sure every couple would be able to say this. There are boundaries between husband and wife that still after years of marriage, they start to get broken down. You understand? It's not immediate that I share everything and I just relaxed, and even in the middle of the act, whatever it is, that intimacy needs those boundaries to be broken down. So then you meet somebody and you say, hey, you know what? Share everything with me. That's literally, you understand what I mean? That's literally like, that's definitely going too far.
Carlos says it there. Remember the first time you actually held Talita's hand? Were you like, can I hold your hand, or did it just happen? Yes, I think that's where we're going. There are some things that happen over a course of time, and it shouldn't be forced, especially with intimate relationships. You give it time to work, and it will happen. You don't have to ask for it. You might just say, I need you to check this for me. Just here's my password. Don't do that.
Don't do that. If in case there are some ladies that actually do things like that, that I need to prove that I trust you, so you should prove that you trust me. It is coming on way too strong.
Yeah.
And if you do feel like that, I don't want you to feel as if we're against you when we were saying end the relationship with you. Because I have a feeling that there may be some ladies out there saying, well, excuse me. So if you are offended, you just have to think about why is it you're doing that. Because as he rightfully said, maybe you had a terrible relationship before. Maybe. But it could also seem as if you're trying to control the man. You just want to make sure they get in all the nitty gritty. So in case something happens, it's like you're writing the prenup to the marriage. And it's like, yeah, this is in case he's going to break up. I'm like, well, why get married if you don't trust him to be with you?
Yeah, that's
if
a
you
very
understand.
serious.
So it's something to think about. It does come across as if you're controlling, as well as,
Go ahead, Asha.
And in every situation in life, we have to be mindful of the fact that it is every human's right to privacy.
Yeah,
So if I wish to open up with you, then let me decide on my own time when I do that. Do not demand it of me then.
It's so interesting that we put the password higher than how we share our bodies.
Okay. I was staying from that one because I was going to ask about there was this issue about a husband rape his wife, And then we talk about setting boundaries and these things like that. How far does it go? But I don't think we would go there. We don't have
Whole
the time
different
to do justice to that.
Yeah.
But it's just food for thought. I have one more scenario, and I will be to the kitchen, sorry. Earl is a young elder in his church, Mount Morris Church. No, Mount Morris.
So
He has displayed great preaching ability and offers great support to church activities. During the last church election process, he has been asked to lead both AY and Pathfinder departments. In addition, he has been nominated to serve in 2 other departments. So that's 4 total. He declined 2 positions. Since then, he has been accused of not wanting to use his gifts and talents effectively. Earl is feeling guilty and he is thinking of reconsidering his decision. What advice would you give to Earl?
You know what I find really interesting about that question? The question starts long before this actual statement. And I don't know how to deal with it because I've seen it a lot for a lot of other people. When I was in, like, now growing up in church and so on, people would actually say, this is the attitude that God would expect of you. The attitude,
Before
the
they
attitude
ask.
of willingness. Long before we even so it's like so it's like for example, I go to church and I have a special music ready. Like for me, I know how to play, so I'm willing to play, and all these other things. And those things for me are so by default that you probably never hear me saying no. So I usually see it and I wonder, how do I now identify? Because I can't actually tell that person, hey, you know what, you're wrong for not wanting that position. You see what I'm saying? But at the same time, I don't know how to resolve it because I've been so accustomed all my life to being willing to get this thing done, willing to do this. Like to some extent, I wasn't supposed to be here tonight. You understand what I'm saying?
News to my ears, thanks for being
and like within that whole realm, it just ends up being, well, yes, I want to do that because like in the long run, and okay. On the other hand, let me try to identify with whoever it is that's passing through, and I would say more than anything else, being willing gives you the ability to reach the level that you would want to reach. If you're unwilling, you'd never reach that level. If you're struggling and you decide, you know what, I don't want to like take up this office or do this or whatever, then you never actually reach that level. And the next level, I think Dragon might be able to identify me because Dragon do some business. You will know that if you try a business, doors open up, like things that you see you never saw before, and then you end up being successful, and more doors open up, and you're more successful and more successful. You understand? So if you're at a certain spiritual level and you think, I don't necessarily want to try that, because you might be the best candidate for that particular position. Now focus on Christ. What would happen on the next level is that you will just move to a next level and the next level. Yeah, and you just keep growing.
Your father is
Sorry.
pastor guitar?
Yeah.
Tell me what do you share the same sentiment? Do you have something different? Do you want to add some clothes? I'm add some clothes on that.
I actually feel sorry for Earl because the part where they said that he feels guilty, they're guilt tripping him and they may not even know why.
Yes.
If you understand, especially more so since they're like, oh, you're very talented, you need to do this. It's like, wait, he's still a human being. He has also a life and work and family outside. He has the right to say no. So I more feel sorry for him because if he actually has a reason and nobody maybe even asked him the reason, you're just like, oh, you say no, well, you're selfish, way boy. You
God
understand?
give you all this talent
And
and you're burying
And you're wasting it.
Yes.
But we need to remember that this is a
Yes.
person. Maybe he can't. Did you even ask the question or did you just lay it on him and make him feel as if, okay, now if I actually say something, now it will sound as if I am giving complaints instead of reasons.
And by the way, that's the balance. That's the other side to the story. Where even if I'm in church and somebody say, hey, you know, I don't want that office, I would advise them that, hey, you know what, it would actually carry it and explain. but to recognize the humanity is the
Yeah.
opportunity to choose.
Yes.
And as you
You
have
can choose.
mentioned that,
So, yes,
Carlos,
that's
very
okay.
important. Our opening text set the foundation for that. Because remember, Jesus was walking through, and there were many persons who were requesting of him healing and his time.
Mhm.
And there was this man, the leper, who he healed right after we saw that Jesus said, okay, I mean, I know I have divinity. I know I can heal. And he was passionate about persons when he saw them needing healing. But he knew that there was a point where he had to have time for himself. And not just time for himself, time for him and God. And you would find that being active in church does not mean that you have a relationship with God.
Yes.
So,
That's true.
I
So
mean, you're so
planning
busy
programs.
with doing God's work that you don't have any time for him. So it's important for us to look at that as well. Jesus took time off for himself to pray and to refresh himself. And if you have 6, 7 offices, sometimes even 4, it becomes very demanding of you. And we have children in churches who are now complaining that their father, elder, and he has this and that, and he has no time for me. So there's a neglect. So we need to be wise. Right? We need to be wise in how we approach that.
Definitely.
Go ahead. I think
Yeah, and the church, we have to be considerate, and what is our intention, Is it
Yes.
because we just want all the offices to be filled and those things?
Yeah.
Good point.
That's
Right?
yeah,
And
let's
we
go
might
away
say,
from
well,
that.
on easy lies the head that wears a crumb, to whom much is given,
Much
much
is
is required.
As someone was saying
So
before.
we have to have a certain measure of understanding, because even Sister White, had a lot to say that she would have said in one of her writings that even the elders should not be bogged down by even the responsibility that other members,
Could uphold.
should
Mhm.
carry as well. And then take on the entire church, and you lose your family, and if you lose your soul, because you cannot sleep at night time because all other
Everybody
responsibility
probably
lies on your shoulder.
yeah.
Now, just from even a business perspective, when you have a lot of responsibilities, it undermines your efficiency and your effectiveness. It spreads you very thin, because you have to plan like for several different activities at the same time. But if you specialize in one, then it brings out the best in you in some ways. Alright? And people must know the members' development. What they can carry on this thing. That is why you have to ask God for the spirit of discernment.
Discernment,
Yes.
yeah.
Alright? Don't just say, well, you take that, because in some ways I could be selfish because I don't want him to ask me, So, he's a better candidate. But the church really have to, spread the responsibility.
And
Alright.
you have
Okay,
to
go ahead and I'll take it.
respect people's opinions,
choice.
people's
Yeah, the
choice.
choice.
Yes. And look, Gracelyn was saying good night. I'm enjoying the program. I believe all should have the chance to decline.
Yes, of
I
course.
was in a position where, I was an elder,
Elder,
Sabbath
yeah.
school superintendent, stewardship, and helping the church
Oh.
plan
Oh,
its
30th
30th
anniversary.
anniversary with all this
Intensity.
intensity.
You see,
Continue.
with all this intensity, I was also working, and I was helping other departments as well. This put me in the hospital for 3 weeks.
Mercy.
Yeah. And also, I had to stay home for about a month. So, hospital for 3 weeks plus a month home. I believe people should take on what they can handle. It's not about using your gifts and talents for the Lord, it's about knowing your limits.
Wow.
Dolisha Lambert says, Earl boy, the struggle is real. God expects us to do as much as we can for him. However, what happens when he takes all of these offices and stretches himself too thin? Rather than taking less offices and being effective, he may be able to do all. Yes, but then again, I have one more comment from Victor Barclay. He says, you don't know what the extent of the other two positions, you don't know, I think that should be how, the extent of the other two positions would affect his personal life. Would you want him to accept and then do the work?
Leave the church.
Yeah. So that's some very valid points. Sometimes you may think somebody can fill that office because they have the ability, and you give them 6 offices and they don't function in any, and then after they say he's not doing it, he's not doing it, and then sometimes
Get cold.
3 weeks into it, they have to resign, and so we need to be very, very careful. And Earl, we are not telling Earl, don't take these offices,
but everyone has their own relationship
Yeah,
with God.
definitely.
And again, we establish that in setting our boundaries, the priority of it is that we put God first. And God will definitely guide and direct us.
I think I really want to interject.
Yeah, go ahead.
You see, what's amazing about these scenarios, I was thinking even from the first one, there's so much unsaid
Yes.
that it literally
Leaves it
does
open.
it does not necessarily give you the true picture of what's actually going on, because after all, is there's a young person that have the time and could actually do the offices, or is it a young
Definitely,
person
yeah,
that
a lot of
don't have the
things.
time and
But that's the
you
same
understand,
thing I
or
was
is it the person
thinking.
that have a family? And
Yeah.
so there's a lot of things
What-
that if you consider all the parts of the scenario, that's the reason why I say, hey, you know what, that willingness and that excitement to actually do was something for God and so on, I would tell a person, why not try? You understand? So there's two sides to that
Just
scenario.
based on the
Yeah.
situation.
Well, as we said, there's so much more that can be
Yeah.
said, so much more stones that needs to be uncovered. But we really trust and hope that we have at least touched enough to give you an understanding of why it's important to set boundaries, how to go ahead establishing these boundaries, what are the pitfalls if you do not establish boundaries in advance of entering these relationships, whatever relationships they may be. What I would do now is give you a few tips as to how you can set up healthy relationships. So the first one is pray and seek God's direction in your life, and that's very important.
Most
We say
important.
that, in anything, put God first.
Definitely.
Yeah, put God
Yes.
first.
It says, establish your goals and priorities in life. Make a mental note or journal your goals and your priorities. Decide on what will help in your spiritual and personal life. Make decisions that are pleasing to God and not to man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where needed, let your boundaries be known. You don't have to explain them.
Mhm.
That should be
Remind,
point
your-
number 2.
Remind yourself that it is okay to say no. So
Yes.
early you can say no. Respectfully excuse yourself from people or activities that are threats to your boundaries. Do not feel guilty for taking time for yourself. Remember, even Jesus did.
You're trying to send a message.
She's really
Not
looking
when
Nomination time coming up after sending a message.
Oh my gosh, and this one should drive the final nail.
On it. Yeah.
Say what you mean and mean
Mean
what
what
you say.
Amen.
Amen.
So you have heard it. 10 healthy tips for establishing healthy boundaries. And this is where we bring the curtains down on the program. Again, I really hope and trust that we'd have done justice and that we'd have piqued your interest and help you to make better judgments when it comes to setting up your boundaries. At this point, we will take the prayer request, and I would ask Brother Joseph, right? You do that closing prayer for us as the prayer requests come in, and you also pray that persons would have really gotten the message tonight and used the information to make better judgments and help them set healthy boundaries. So I should have given you a little bit more time to send in your prayer request.
Yeah.
But the Lord knows, and even if we do not get them all, as you pray with us, you can still send up your prayer request wherever you are, even in the privacy of your own home. So
I just
Go
wish to ask for prayers for my students. Form 5 especially,
Oh, yes.
it's a hard time, and God knows that it's difficult to decide what you would prioritize and the urgency at which you need to. I just pray that God will guide them in balancing everything that's happening around them at this point.
let's.
Shall we pray the Lord? We give you thanks and praise for bringing us here to be a part, the Lord, of such a healthy, the Lord, and productive discussion. We ask you that you continue to inspire the Lord, the minds of those behind the scene, working the Lord on your behalf to make a difference, the Lord, in the lives of your people. We thank you, the Lord, for the discussion tonight, and the Lord allowing us to really be careful as to how we go about doing things, that we don't send conflicting stories or give the wrong impression. But the Lord gain ideas and even counsel as to how to establish good relationships and set boundaries, the Lord, that would bring honor and glory to your name. I pray that we would really have the mind of Christ to, the Lord, be conscious as to what we do, and at the same time be understanding, sensitive to the Lord or interaction with people, that we don't cause harm to others, but our relationship and friendship would strengthen. So give us tact and give us discernment as we forge the God ahead to really make better relationships, the Lord, and draw men and women closer to you. We bring to you even at this time several different prayer requests. We probably are unable to read it for the sake of time, but the Lord, you know the sentiments, and dear Lord, what is on the hearts of your people. So even at this time, wherever they are, I pray, Lord, that your Spirit will draw divinely close to every person, and the Lord service their needs, and whatever the request, O Lord, I pray that you'll grant it unto them. Be it jobs, O Lord, be it a peace of mind, be it a spouse, O Lord, whatever it is. But most, O Lord, I pray that they would make it the determination and the desire to really build strong spiritual lives so they can be fit for your kingdom. Remember the God, the students of your sister's school, the Lord. You know that the devil really has a trap, and the Lord, so many distractions for the young minds, even of our nation. And the Lord, it appears as if he is winning, the Lord, this race, but we know, Lord, that greater is he that is in us than he is in the world. So even at this time, may these children understand that they need to remember now what they create in the days of the youth. And I pray, Lord, that you give them the mind of Christ, the Lord, to really make sound and wise decisions, that they'll put things into right perspective. So as they make choices, it will be the Lord to improve their lives and give them a bright future. And even as they prepare the Lord for exams and all of the other responsibilities that come along with Form 5, that they'll be able to manage themselves well. So at the end they can be successful. Bless the parents, bless the teachers, and the Lord even bless all those of us who are here, and all those, God, that continue to dedicate and devote their time and the energies, the Lord, to make this program a success. Be with the Lord, and may go from strength to strength and touch their lives, and even cause men and women, boys and girls, the Lord, to come to a saving knowledge of Christ. Take full control, and as we leave this space, may your Spirit go with us. This most as you ask in Christ's name.
Amen. Just like to say again, thank you to our panelists for being here this
Thanks for
evening.
having us.
Thank you to our viewers for tuning into another episode of Youth Live, where we're discussing setting healthy boundaries. Until next episode, happy Sabbath and good night.
Good night.
Good night, all.
Hey.
Lord, I come before you with contrite heart. Humbly I surrender all that I am. I want to learn from you. Please draw me close to you. Help me share your love and grace in all I do. Lord, I come before you with contrite heart. Humbly I surrender all that I am. I want to learn from you. Please draw me close to you. Let me share your love and grace in all I do. Oh Lord, transform me. Change my heart completely to be more like you. Oh Lord, renew me. Heal my mind and broken heart today. I want to be and to do what you commanded, and be filled with the Spirit every day. I want to serve Please shine a light to a darkened world, and always leave your truth in every way. May your love for me be seen by everyone, and lead others to trust and love you more. Oh Lord, transform me, change my heart completely to be more like you. Oh Lord, renew me, heal my mind and broken heart today. I want to be and to do what you commanded, and be filled with your Spirit every day. I want to serve you wherever you may lead me. I want to serve you till the very end. Oh Lord, transform me, change my heart completely to be more like you. Oh Lord, renew me, heal my mind and broken heart today. I want to be and to do what you commanded, and be filled with the Spirit every day. I want to serve you wherever you may lead me. I want to serve you till the very end. Lord, transform me to serve. Lord, transform me to serve. To serve. Lord, I come before you with contrite heart. Humbly I surrender all that I am. I want to learn from you. Please draw me close to you. Help me share your love and grace in all I do. Lord, I come before you with contrite heart. Humbly I surrender all that I am. I want to learn from you. Please draw me close to you. Let me share your love and grace in all I do. Oh Lord, transform me, change my heart completely to be more like you. Oh Lord, renew me, heal my mind and broken heart today. always shine a light to a darkened world, and always live the truth in every way. May your love for me be seen by everyone, and lead others to trust and love you more.